Hey, so today will be a little different than what I normally do, which is just rant about my life and stuff. Today I'm actually going to choose this very, very specific topic, which is my favorite. Must position myself correctly. My favorite comic book superhero team, which is one of my favorite comics too. It's the Legion of Superheroes by DC Comics. It's actually the first comic I can remember reading as in kindergarten and stuff, which was a long time ago. I picked up the little books of adventure comics when they were being printed about this size and stuff. I kind of got hooked on it back then. I thought it was really cool that a group of teenagers could change the universe and work together like that. And it wasn't until much later that I found out some of the continuity issues and stuff. And since then they've rebooted it 3 times, technically 4, because DC is doing this whole changing of the universe, which I'm totally against because it wiped out some really good things. They say the Legion is not going to be so affected by it. I'm waiting and seeing on that. Um, the Legion has been rebooted 3 times at this point. There was the original Legion, which is from like the '60s until they pretty much say everything happened until Adventure Comics 300, which is right after the Great Darkness Saga, which is one of the most important storylines that they ever did with the Legion of Superheroes. It was about 5 issues long. From the prologue began in number 290 and it ended in 294 of Legion of Superheroes. Basically, Jack Kirby's New Gods started waking up in the only 2 woke up in the 30th century, and it kind of tied things together, and Darkseid rose and he was the big bad. And this was when they didn't use Darkseid every single year as a major opponent type of thing. So back then, the fact that they were having Darkseid rise and he captured an entire planet of pretty much Supermen. The planet Daxam, which is supposed to be a cousin to Krypton. All of the people in Daxam have the same powers as Superman, except they're vulnerable to lead. All of them are, except for one person, Mon-El Largand, who's one of my favorite Legionnaires. But the Great Darkness Saga just totally changed everything. It's been reprinted in graphic novels a couple of times. Then they came out with something called Zero Hour, which actually, hold on, I have something. This was the last of the original Legion that they kind of did before the reboot. I went and got it signed by Mark Waid because he happened to show up at a con, and I brought a stack of all of my Legion books that he had done, and I was worried about how am I gonna get all of them signed, and so I was too nervous to go up to him. A friend of mine ended up going up, and she was going, "I got a friend who's got a backpack full of stuff for you," and he goes, "Yeah, just bring him up." So I got that signed, and I actually also got this one signed. I'm not a big fan of the third reboot of the Legion because it just seemed like something really bad and lame, but it didn't appeal to me. It wasn't the Legion that I fell in love with as a kid. But I also, besides that, got the 2 new Zero Hour Legion signed by him as well. Zero Hour Legion I was against initially, but it became really awesome to me because they took a spin on the same stories. They said, okay, this is the first day when the 3 Legionnaires save the main character, or save their founder, R.J. Brand. And after they they took all of the original stories and they put a spin on it, so nothing was what you expected it to be, which I really liked. The Legion, the Zero Hour Legion ended when they created that third Legion that I got the #1 signed I just showed you, and I kind of fell out from the Legion for a while until it was in the JLA they had a JLA JSA crossover called the Lightning Way, I believe, or the Lightning Storm, and it tied in with other things. But right shortly after that, they came out, or Jeff Johns brought back the original Legion as adults in Action Comics in a storyline called Superman and the Legion of Superheroes, which touches on him wondering, well, my friends have been gone since the first crisis. I haven't seen them. What happened to them after they grew up? And it talks about how somebody who was rejected from the Legion ended up turning around and screwing them all over, and he's been making it seem like aliens are bad, and Superman really wasn't from Krypton. It was all a myth that was told to the people of Earth to make them accept aliens, and he was really a human who was given his powers by Mother Earth. And this group ended up trying to, or this guy ended up trying to start a galactic war. And so they bring, or one of them, Brainiac 5, brings Superman from the current century to the 30th century and says, "We need your help. They're not gonna. The rest of the Legion's not gonna like it, but we need you." And it talked about what happened after the Legion grew up, and they did it in such a fantastic way. Just the I was on pins and needles every single time. Actually, where is it? Where is it? Yeah, month 2. This one, oh, all of these are my variant covers, because I got the variant covers and I got the regular covers for it. It took me a while to get all the variant covers because I missed the first one. This particular issue came out on my birthday. I actually had a friend who'd come down to stay with me for my birthday and stuff, and he woke me up. He's like, "Well, what do you want to do? What do you want to do this morning?" And he's thinking something different, and I was like, "We must go to the comic store right now." And he just looked at me like I was insane. But no, I just grabbed it. I absorbed the entire issue, and the entire thing was just so fantastic. Actually, the final issue of that led into one of the other best series that they've done for Legion, which is tied in with the Final Crisis, Legion of Three Worlds, where you've got all 3 legions that are coming together to stop something really bad that's happening in the 31st century. It involves the most annoying character I think I've ever read, a kid by the name of Superboy Prime, who is a spoiled little brat, and I'm not even going to go into that one. Anyway, the Legion, I've collected the Legion pretty much since childhood. There's very, very little I don't have in the way of Legion comics. Pretty much a complete run since, yikes. I don't even know anymore. I can tell you that some between the Great Darkness Saga and when they released the Baxter edition back in the late '80s, I was kind of spotty. But beyond after the Baxter stuff, I've got pretty much all of them, and that's kind of some dedication because they did some really screwy things with it with certain writers. Well, except for when Mark Waid took over and did the 3rd reboot. The 3rd reboot just didn't appeal to me at all, but I've mentioned that a couple of times. DC right now is changing things. They say the Legion's not going to be touched. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. It's just what parts of Legion stories where they crossed over with this century are accurate, which ones are not accurate. The 0 Hour Legion showed up during Blackest Night. Or sorry, Brightest Day. No, that's not it. Not Brightest Night. Not Blackest Night. Damn it. Final Night. Final Night. There are way too many different adjectives for those for DC's miniseries crossovers. But there's question: did they show up? Do they still exist? What happened to them? And of course, they're not. DC's editorial staff isn't touching on any of the other legions that they created afterwards. The 0 Hour Legion or the 3 Boot, as it's called, the 3 Boot series. So, anyway, Legion was the first comic series that I picked up and that I fell in love with. It actually helped open the door into comics for me. I was never a big Marvel fan growing up as a teenager. I hated the X-Men. Most people consider that like sacrilege. The only comic that I collected that was Marvel was Transformers. Other than that, I was all about DC. It took me a while to get on board with Marvel and with the X-Men, and I couldn't tell you what the X-Men have been up to for like the last 4 years. If you tried to ask me, it's just so out there for me. And now they're changing it and rechanging it, and I hear they're canceling the Uncanny X-Men and stuff. And I have to say I'm kind of turned off by that concept because all of the latest, it doesn't seem like they're respecting tradition and continuity. They just decide if something doesn't work, they have a bad writer, we'll just cancel the series and start it all over again and stuff. And as much as I don't like some of the earlier works, and I think Chris Claremont was the master of the ongoing storyline that never ended, at least he managed to maintain a level of continuity and tradition, and that's just not here in comics anymore, which is one of the reasons I'm against the big DC Universe changeover. Not to mention the fact that there's no Donna Troy, there's no Wally West. Everything they did in building the character of Connor Kent, who I base my mage off of, has been thrown out the window. Cassandra Sandsmark, the new Wonder Girl, who was becoming a very strong and powerful teenage superhero and going through trials, and I would have liked to have seen that journey completed and not end the way that it did. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that this DC Universe reboot thing is just going to be a temporary situation, kind of like Heroes Reborn from Marvel that they tried in the 90s that didn't do so well. Anyway, I'm digressing. I started talking about Legion and went off on tangents. Basically, the Legion rocks. The cartoon was pretty good too. Have a good day.